Beyond the bar with Denise Tova. Said I'm beyond the bar with Denise Tova. I'm so glad to be here, y'all. Denise makes me feel just like a star beyond the bar.
Wow. Welcome to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Anissa Tova, and here's where we go deeper than the spotlight. Look, some artists play music, others become the music, and today we've got a legend, guitar slinger, storyteller, and a man who doesn't just play the blues, he lives it. His
Woo.
music electrifies stages worldwide, and today we're peeling back, yes, we are, the layers to meet the man himself, Vasti Jackson. Welcome to the show.
Denise, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad to be doing this with you today. And because I'm in Mississippi right now, the birthplace of the blues, the birthplace of America's music, country and blues and all of that stuff. So I'm glad to be here. We got sunshine. It was cold like New York last week, but now it's nice and warm.
Oh, I love that. The sun shining. I can feel the warmth and just keep sending it keep sending it our way. So listen, before we get into the deep stuff, so is there a song that no matter where you are, the first note makes you go, "Oh yeah, we're about to get somewhere special."
Absolutely. And I'm going to play you a little bit of that song, right? Beyond the bar with Denise Tova. Said I'm beyond the bar with Denise Tova. I'm so glad to be here, y'all. Denise makes me feel just like a star beyond the bar.
Wow.
There you go, baby.
Love it. Love it. Oh my gosh. So you just set the stage. So now we have to continue with this energy here.
Okay.
I cannot wait. We have to dive in. So Mississippi, that's where it all started. So what put wh- what put that first guitar in your hands?
Family. I come from generations and generations of musicians, as far back as we know. So it started off just by hearing my grandmother and my grandfather play the guitar and sing. My grandmother was gospel and country music. My grandfather was hardcore acoustic raw blues. And my great grandfather, who I did meet, Shane Jackson, he was a fiddle player. That's how it started.
How old were you?
Oh, I don't know because I don't remember a time not hearing music. I mean, I began to want to do music, I would say at about 11 years old, but it wasn't something that we really thought about because it was just like having water or air. There was always a guitar or an instrument around. So I never made a choice to be a musician. I never decided to be a musician. There was just at a time to whereas the guitar appeared to be my best friend.
Wow. Were there what was when I listen to blues, and you represent so many different styles, it just flows. There is there's resilience, there is love, there is power. What what was some of the biggest challenge that you had to grow through?
Well, the interesting thing is that in terms of just music or the art of music and starting so young, becoming a professional musician at 12 years old, I don't really think of them as challenges. There were just a lot of experiences. For example, um, the older musicians in the neighborhood who were in their 30s or 40s, and they were playing clubs and juke joints. And they knew my mother and the family. It was a very small community. And my mother and grandmother, they trusted these people. They said, "Oh, well, can Vasti come by the house? Or can he come over here and play with us?" And I was this kid. So I had these older adults who were my mentors and my protectors. Now, when it became a thing of where maybe you think about struggle, that was after I left home and then be getting into the greater professional world of musicians. As a kid, if someone gives you a Coke and a hamburger, you're ecstatic. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
not doing it for money. It's just the simple joy of it. And then you begin to learn a little bit about what we'll call the music business or the music industry. And now you got to go beyond just the passion of the sound of music.
Hmm. That's when it gets a little more complicated, right?
Does I was a guitarist. Well, I started off as a drummer, as I think most boys do if they're interested in music, because they're beating on everything. So I got a percussion scholarship to Jackson State University, and even though guitar is my primary instrument, my as a music major, my instrument of emphasis were drums. And so in that environment, I immediately stepped into a bigger professional arena, and yeah, so it was a lot to take in. It's very exciting, of course. And I began to do recording sessions and things of that nature at 18 at a company called Malaco Records, which was like the biggest independent soul music label at the time, let's say the late 70s and going into the 80s with people like Denise LaSalle, um, Dorothy Moore had the song Misty Blue. There's another great song that was recorded there by Anita Ward. It was a huge disco hit called Ring My Bell. You can ring my bell, ding dong, ding. Not very bluesy, but
Yeah.
still a great song.
Wow. Well, you played with the greats. I mean, B.B. King, was it Bobby Rush also?
Mhm.
That's that's incredible. What's your wildest backstage or tour story that you got?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, come on. You
Let's
gotta
see if there's one that I can tell you. I'm thinking, I'm thinking, I'm thinking, I'm thinking, I'm thinking, I'm thinking, I'm thinking. Um, I think one of the this wasn't the wildest, but it was so phenomenal. And this was recent. I think this was in maybe 2019 or 2018. I played the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, Germany, and there were over 1,200,000 people on the street in attendance.
Wow.
So the biggest physical audience that I played for was over 1 million people, and it was broadcasted throughout Europe. So I think there was maybe between 8 and 9 million people from the various countries that it was shown in, and that was a New Year's Eve presentation, and which was it doesn't quite have the zing of America. The energy was just amazing. But they call New Year's Eve Sylvester,
Yes.
and I didn't know that. So, because one of the companies I was working for, the base of operations was in Berlin. So I was, in Berlin 4 to 6 months a year. And so that wasn't off stage or backstage, but it was such a phenomenal experience, just to have that kind of energy coming at you. And I played big, arenas and places, 50,000 people, what I mean, 80,000 people, but it's literally as far as you can see. It's amazing.
That is amazing. I was born and raised in Prague. I was a
Oh,
very young girl when I came to the States, and yep, Sylvester, that's a New Year's Eve. You got it. But that's incredible that you were able to draw such a huge crowd. It's great to hear that they have interest in this music, and that's just you've been to so many international stages, and um it's when did you realize like this is it, this is not just a good hobby, like that's the moment.
it's so amazing that I never did. I mean, literally, I'm still this 17-year-old guy making noise that people like sometimes. And for some reason, they want to hire me as a composer or an arranger or a producer or guitarist or vocalist. Um, I honestly never made a decision to say, I want to be a musician. I never thought about that. I never, and maybe if I thought about it in terms of a career,
Hmm.
maybe I would have thought that, oh, this is too hard. Oh, I can't make it. How will I make a living? How will I do that? I never literally thought about that. I mean, that it sounds naive, but coming from high school, working and making money as a musician in high school, and then going to university and working and earning money, I never thought that it was not possible. You know what I mean? To make a
Yeah.
living doing music. And of course, there are the ups and there's the downs. There's what do they say? There's caviar and sometimes there's sardines. Yeah, yeah.
I like
But
both.
yeah, it was too late. I was
Yeah.
already hooked. I mean, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay, so now switching hats because you are a man of many talents. Let's talk about this acting thing.
Mhm.
Bluesman stepping into the roles like Robert Johnson, Ike Turner.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part of stepping into Ike's role?
Interestingly enough, and I'm going to tell you about that production. It's a huge production. It's called Simply the Best, the Tina Turner story. And the main office is in Berlin. And they had one other gentleman who was from Canada that was playing the role of Ike when I got the email. And the guy was an excellent vocalist and guitarist and actor. Um, he didn't have the cultural reference. I'm from Mississippi, so I don't have to try to imitate. Hey, y'all, what's going on? What mom and them at? Yo, man, come on now, give me a drink of that beer. Oh, child, hush your mouth. I don't have to imitate that. I grew up with that.
Yeah.
So in the terms of Ike Turner, that wasn't really much for me to have to do since I've done stage plays before. Learning the script is something that it's kind of like learning music. If you have the music or the arrangement, you learn it before the audition or before the first rehearsal. One of the greatest things to do to get into character is to actually be off book, where you're not trying to find the text, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
trying to locate a spot in the script. So if you have the script memorized, then you can be more into, let's say, idiosyncrasies and inflections of the character. So one of the things I did have to focus on with Ike is that he had a bit of a stutter.
Mm.
Uh, 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 and so I had to be cognizant of not doing that too much or put it in the right place. And when they flew me to Berlin to audition for the role, I was off book. They were surprised that I was off book. Uh, but the thing that propelled me was that this Mississippi culture and having lived the culture, that it almost as if I wasn't acting. That's what they saw, that there was something natural really about the body language. Of course, the I guess you would say the regional dialect was very, very natural. And so the audition was as an actor, and the director really didn't know that I was a singer and a guitarist. They were saying, well, okay, well, great. And they were considering, who a guitarist might be. And I said, well, I play guitar. Some of the other people who recommended me knew. And so they were surprised that I could play the music and sing the songs. And so, which was great for me because I was being hired as an actor, and then I ended up, being hired as a vocalist and a guitarist as well. And in terms of the numbers, that means you only pay for one flight. You don't pay for two flights. You pay for one. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
two per diem. You only pay one per diem. So it was really good for them. It was good for me. And then I ended up being the musical director, and I wrote some original music for that stage play as well. So that was, good, a good thing to do. And they were fantastic. Coco Fletcher, who played Tina Turner, absolutely fantastic. Corky Missa and other folk. So for me, having a great cast made my job so much easier. I mean, I've done things where it's like a one-man presentation, and you have to remember all of the dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And then all of the lyric and the melodies, and you're playing guitar and you're talking, and it's maybe you and another person on stage. as a narrator who's in there sometime. That takes a lot of work. But for me, ensemble I like ensemble. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. You know, you're changing clothes, there are lots of things and props and timing. But as a singer and as someone who's actually having a lot of monologue, it's easier on the voice as well when you have more people
Hmm.
cast who are actually either singing and speaking.
So what would be a role of a lifetime for you?
Ah, there have been in terms of stage plays, there has been some interest in me doing Sammy Davis Jr.
I can see that.
That would be, I would really have to get my dancing chops
Yeah,
together. You know what I mean?
yeah.
The vocal thing and instrumental thing, not an issue. But I really have to work on the dancing. So that would be a really nice, beautiful challenge.
Do you dance?
I do, but not as well as Michael Jackson or Sammy Davis Jr.
But you'll just pick it up just like that, just like with everything else.
Yeah, so that's other than that, let's see. Uh I think that's it. I mean, that's the one that came to mind, Sammy Davis Jr.
So now, if you could sit down with anyone, if you could jam with anyone, dead or alive, who's pulling up a chair?
Oh my God. There are two people that come instantly because after I began to learn about guitarists outside of my grandfather, my grandmother, it would be, I mean, I've recorded with B.B. King, I've played with the incredible artist, but it would be Joe Pass and Wes Montgomery.
Mhm.
And because they made such an imprint on me. And I mean, the thing is, we don't live by blues or jazz alone. You know, blues is the roots and everything else is the fruits. You know, the blues had a baby, and that baby is jazz. And that baby had a brother called rock and roll. Okay, so
So, whole family there. Wow.
absolutely. So I
Yeah.
would have to say Joe Pats and Wes Montgomery.
Hmm. Hmm. So I love the way you describe the music. Let's say, I don't know, a few decades from now, someone discovers your music for the first time. What do you hope that they would feel?
What do I hope they would feel? Joy,
Hmm.
happiness, some sort of excitement that brought some levity and a sort of a calm, joyful security and safety.
I like that. What is your pet peeve about
Hmm.
people?
About people?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, watch out now. We don't want to go too
Yeah,
far.
no, just come on. Say it. Say it.
I would think, oh my God, it's really going to be interesting because I don't know if I could just use one word, but I'll try and I'll sort of speak on it. I would think I don't want to be harsh. Let me just say uh, deception.
Mhm.
If you say
Yeah.
the word deception, you could say lying, you know what I mean? Um, let's say pretentiousness, right? And by that I mean style over substance is a pet peeve with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When there's makeup and then there's fake up. I don't mind makeup. It's an enhancement. But fake up, when you're just trying to put this thing out there, you know it's not true, you know it's not real, but you think you can get something by putting on all these airs, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, we're doing this interview, and I do want to make a positive impression. I am concerned, you know what I mean, the impression that I give you. For me, it's okay. If people I am who I am, either you accept me or don't. No, I love people, and I don't generally want to make people uncomfortable. And as appealing as I may want to be, I'm not going to put on any airs. I don't have on a watch. I don't have on a Rolex. I don't have on jewelry. I don't have on shades. And I don't have on a suit and a tie. And I could do all of that. But what you're getting in this interview is actually who I am. I mean, this is the shirt I had on earlier today. I didn't say, oh, let me put this shirt on because I'm going to do this interview. I'm not on stage.
Yeah.
This is who I am. If I was going to the supermarket, this is who I am. So I don't, when I'm not on stage, I'm literally not on stage. What you see on stage, even because when I'm performing live music, I love performing music by myself or with people or in front of an audience or not. And I get a lot of joy and enthusiasm for that. So that what you see in that environment is true. It's
Yeah.
not let me get on stage as a musical performer and act. If you see me in the role of an actor, then I'm acting. But when I'm playing music, the joy I feel, that's it. So I just don't have a need to, what I mean, to try to sell something with false advertisement. I don't mind promotion. We need to promote things. If people don't know it's available, how are they going to get it?
Yeah.
But I don't want to deceive people because once they get it and then they start to have a relationship with it or examine it, they realize, oh, this is not what it was advertised to be.
Yeah.
So
So true.
if you just present what it is, that never happens. And it's okay because everybody's not going to like everything. So I told you I was going to answer you, but then I was going to, I probably gave you more information than you wanted.
Oh, no. No, 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 no. There is only one answer. That is your answer. And that is what inspired me to start this podcast almost 2 years ago, is I'm not
Okay.
interested in the fame and the titles and all that. I'm interested in what's beyond that, literally. So that stuff interests me. That's why I share myself with my guests. I found that privilege. You and I have never met. I didn't know anything about you other than I've heard your music, but I
Mhm.
really didn't know you. And this is such a great platform to get to know you as a human being and where you came from, because everybody has a story, and I'm obsessed with stories. And everybody's so different and has something else to bring to the table. So thank you for being very authentic. I love it. Wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You've worked with Playing for a Change Foundation.
Mhm.
What does that mean to you? Why?
It means so much to me because I worked with him for probably 12 or 13 years,
Wow.
as a guitarist, as a vocalist, as a producer, as an arranger. And we have now, I think, 18 or 20 schools in 15 countries now. We're in Argentina, Mexico, Nepal, South Africa, Congo, Morocco, Mali, of course, the USA. And we work, in terms of women's society. We have schools, for children where we use music as a tool for different types of education. And so it is I see the let's say how this benefits people who are, let's say, who are economically disadvantaged, or maybe they have some of the basic necessities of life that are substandard. And we've been able to help children and other people. And we actually, have done presentations for the United Nations and things of that nature that are huge. And, but I'm in Rwanda and I'm with kids and I'm going to the villages, or either I'm in France and I'm going to a nursing home, you know, I have some off days. And, some of the projects that we do in terms of, what would I say? I mean, some of not necessarily that I dreamed of this, but that has given me another opportunity to work with a lot of great artists in other areas. Taj Mahal, right?
Yeah.
Bono from U2, Ringo Starr from the Beatles, Keb Mo, Steve Miller, Dr. John, and I could go on and on about so many Toots Hebert from reggae, the great Toots from Jamaica. So that is it's really a cool thing, and there are several projects. And it's so interesting that you asked that because right now, as soon as as soon as I finish this, I'll be headed out to start a production with Playing for Change.
Really?
Yeah, another production. Yeah. So, and I'm look out. I can't tell you about this one, but I think before the end of the month, there's another video release that we've done. Yeah. And so we're happy about that. And I've been able to incorporate other artists, not only from Mississippi but other parts of the world, into Playing for Change Productions. Yeah. And so, and if you've seen some of the videos, maybe we'll record someone in Japan and maybe we record someone else in Alaska and someone else in the Sahara Desert and so forth and so on. So it's matter of fact, we did some filming in New York actually, and we did an event I think for the Asia Society there with Jack Ma from Alibaba actually. And so that's the last production that I worked on with Playing for Change in New York. Yeah, but it's a great organization because we have Playing for Change, the foundation, and then we have playingforchange.com, which is literally the band.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are two entities there. There's the nonprofit, and then there's the whole musical side of it as well.
No, this is great. We'll definitely post the links to that. So on a final note, I'm curious, if there's a young kid right now sitting in their bedroom strumming a guitar, dreaming of making it, what's the best advice you'd give them?
In terms of the music first, just the passion of it, do that because you love it. Just do it because you love it, because it brings you joy, and if it can inspire other people to joy. I don't think you can share anything you don't have.
Hmm.
Now we know it's important to be a good person, but find that thing in you that you connect with that sound where or whatever it is that you enjoy it so much. The reason that you're doing it is not for money, because you can get to the business side, but if you haven't cultivated something that's of value for people to experience, what do you have to sell in terms of art, as opposed to saying, I want to make some money, so I'm going to be a musician or I'm going to be a rapper? I don't think that's the way to go. Now, I'm just saying, I don't think it's the way to go. Maybe the way to go for someone else, but I don't think that in terms of earning a living, if when you're talking about art, I don't think that should be the motivation for becoming a quote artist. Now, but if you say, okay, I think this is a good industry and I want to be a manager, an agent, a producer, or whatever, okay, well, have at it. No criticism for me, but I would say to the young person, do you enjoy this? That would be the first thing. Do it for joy, the positive aspect. And then if I would say something else, if you are thinking about getting into this as a profession, learn about the business, align yourself with people with similar interests. And, it's not necessary that you learn to read music, but it is an asset. What else is there? Be a good person. Be prompt. Yeah. Show up on time. Uh, have a attitude of gratitude, because regardless of how good you are, if you are a grumpy, complaining person, then you're not going to be fun to be around. You don't have to be a comedian. You don't have to be the jokester, and you don't have to be the life of the party. But just don't, let's say, broadcast negative energy and criticism.
Yes. Wow. I have goosebumps now. That is such a good advice beyond career building advice, just in life.
Hmm.
That is Yeah. Wow. I can definitely resonate with that. Just being grateful for so many things. You can
Oh, yeah.
find a reason every single day. And, with the passion, sometimes people say, well, find your passion. I think if you're good at something and you continue to do that over and over, builds confidence that leads to passion. And then if you can turn it into a money-making gig, that's a whole separate skill sets and getting
Mhm.
mentored by people who are doing it.
Yep.
But at the core, being good, you're right. Wow. Any parting thoughts?
Well, I'm going to continue to go beyond the bar in positiveness, in joy, in compassion, definitely passion. And I look forward to seeing you on Long Island, August. I will let you know where the festival will be and all of that. And so you'll be my guest. You and an associate will listen to a lot of jazz and funk and blues and sample wine. How about that?
That sounds perfect.
Okay.
Cannot wait. And thank you so much for being here and sharing your journey. You really are a true, I'll say force of nature. And for everyone listening and watching, make sure that you check out Vasti's music, his performance, and we'll be posting all the links and show notes. And for all viewers and listeners, make sure you follow us Beyond the Bar podcast, social media channels. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.
Thank you so much.